All right, good Thursday morning, everyone. It's meteorologist Joe Martucci taking a look at Tropical Storm Erin, what she's doing now, what she's going to do in the future, and what it's going to mean or not mean for New Jersey. So let's start with the now. Tropical Storm Erin is a tropical storm. It's actually a fairly weak tropical storm still, with maximum sustained winds of 50 miles an hour. Still moving at a good clip to the west. Remember, this storm has been chugging from off the Cabo Verde Islands, which is right off the coast of Africa, and moving all the way across the Atlantic. So it takes a couple of days for it to get across the Atlantic to North America. It's still about 1,000 miles to the east of Antigua and Barbuda, and it will become a hurricane on Friday. And then as we look at this track, you see it continuing to the north and west, and you see those M's there. That's a major hurricane with Category 3, 4, or 5 force winds, and you see that turn to the north and west as well. Here's a look at Erin on our satellite. This is thanks to our friends at Colorado State University. We see this storm does have a little bit of a cone shape, I would say, to this, a little bit of that swirl that you would see in a tropical system here, but it's still fairly weak. And if you look at the winds, which is in this image that I put on the lower left of that satellite, look at that yellow area. It's fairly small, and it's all confined to the north and the northwest of the storm. So the strongest part of the storm is to the northwest of it. There's not really much once you get south of the eye. The eye is actually to the south of where you're seeing a lot of those greens and reds here on that map, hidden more or less underneath the clouds. It doesn't have a fully defined eye like you would see in a stronger hurricane here. So let's take a look at what we can expect with its forecast. As we know, it's going to the west-northwest and then making a little turn to the north. And it's really because of these two high-pressure systems, one over Florida and one in the middle of the Atlantic. It's as simple as that. This is driving the path of the storm. So it's going to continue to the west, being pulled by some fairly strong trade winds here. But you see those greens and yellows, those are fairly strong winds. And then it's going to find that weak spot in between the high-pressure systems and curve to the north from there, and likely going to curve to the northeast from there. So that means that Bermuda, that is where we're going to at least have the potential for heavy direct impacts from Erin. Not a definite, but possible. But really what's happening is it's going to find a gap in these two high pressure systems and ride it. So there really isn't much of a chance for this storm to make landfall on the East Coast. Even if it was to go as far as west as where that H is now, it would still end up getting pulled by some strong westerly winds in the mid-latitudes, which is where we are here in New Jersey. So the good news is no real direct impacts expected to New Jersey, and more than likely no direct impacts to the East Coast of the United States. We take a look at our hurricane wind probabilities over the next 5 days, and you see a 30 to 40% chance in that yellow area. It should avoid the Lesser Antilles here. Really should avoid the U.S. Virgin Islands or the British Virgin Islands with hurricane winds. That being said, tropical storm force winds are in the realm of possibility there. All right, so what does this mean for New Jersey? Well, we have to look all the way to the middle of next week, August 20th, to see the indirect impacts. And that's going to mean higher than usual waves and swells. Here's a look at our significant wave height. We're looking at 4 to 5 feet as we go into next Thursday. This is still a model run, so things can change, and more than likely this will increase some more as we go into the 21st. And then we look at our swell heights, and it's generally between 2.5 to 4.5 feet, depending on where you are at the shore. Now, there will be rip currents. There's going to be a high risk for rip currents, definitely from next Wednesday, probably into the following weekend here. So it's always super important to swim where the lifeguards are, one, and two, swim where they are safe to do so. Unfortunately, we had those deaths in Seaside Heights earlier this week, and there wasn't even a very high risk for rip currents. It was a moderate risk, and unfortunately, they were caught in the water here, rip current or not, and had to be rescued by the lifeguards after hours here. So it's going to be tough to be swimming in the ocean comfortably, and really where you should be for most of the later part of next week, and again going into next weekend. And then taking the boat out, going to be rough on the ocean waters from about next Wednesday onward. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. I have this program. It's called Surely Safe. We have Avalon that is signed on. We have one more town that's very close, and I'll share those details when that's finished. Speaking with some other towns as well. It's a way to save your town money. So this is something where I'd work with the town governments to help you not only prepare yourself for the next storm, but also possibly save yourself money on your national flood insurance policy premiums as well. Website is surelysafe.live. You can email me for more. Weather Call will call, text, or email you when tornado and severe thunderstorm warnings hit your area. Sign up for just $15 a year at the link in this description.